Hey there, thanks for tuning in for the top 7 rock cuts of the week. Here's a look at the rocks that we will be checking out. Got a bunch of cool ones. As you can see, we've got a couple different colors going on and some really unique crystal material. If you're a current subscriber, thank you so much. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Also, make sure to give the video a like and let me know what you think down in the comments. All the rocks were found in northern Nevada by me, so let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, let's check out this rock. So you can see from the outside that it is a light colored material, and the material is actually a bit soft. You can see on this side here, we get into some interesting crystal that's going on the outside, both clear and kind of green that you can see. And then the rest of the material doesn't really give a whole lot of indication of what's going on there. You can see a little bit of green coming through, but mostly it looks to be kind of light colored and porous. So let's take a look at the inside, and that is really pretty. Wow. So the green color actually comes through very strong on the inside, as you can see, and goes from kind of a nice darker color to a little bit lighter, and a lot of the gradient in between. Very pretty. And the stone itself looks like it's broken, and yeah, you can see here it's fractured into many pieces in the center there where the crystal material has filled in. And this side has almost no green, just a little bit at the bottom there, but very pretty. Let's take a closer look at the individual cuts. Yeah, you can see there's some black speckles that kind of go throughout, and then we have the different green and white crystal material that's filled in, and then the lighter colored material around the outside of the rock is that more porous, softer stone that we saw on a lot of the outside. You can see it here as well. Really, really pretty, and a pretty unique one as well. I've found a couple that have this kind of green color to them, but not very many. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see, well, it's a big rock, or at least a little bit bigger than I usually cut. And you can see we've got some nice red color going on down to pink. And then we have some banding coming in here and some much darker red. I thought there was some interesting looking patterns, but I did not think it would be quite this cool on the inside. So this is some really interesting banding going on, and the way the rock has fractured and then been healed and filled in here. The edges on a lot of it are rounded and soft, almost what I would call like a cloud banded wonderstone. But there's some really cool eye formations in there with some nice banding going on and really nice colors, a nice range from the dark reds to pinks and browns and some yellows as well to white. Really pretty and a really unique one. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see we have some really cool crystal formation going on. I think that this top part has been worn down, but on certain parts of it, you can still see what looks like the flow of the material, which is really cool. So on the top of the rock right here, on the part that we're getting to on the top there, really pretty and really unique. And it actually looks a little bit cooler than I thought that it would. So there's a little bit of banding going on, especially in the white material. And then when we take a closer look at the individual halves, you'll see some of those darker areas that look almost black are actually a red color. And then they have some orange that's around it as well. But very pretty. And this is actually a pretty big piece, so could definitely do some more cuts on this potentially. But the top of it is almost the coolest part. But here we can see some of that banding a little bit better in the white above the orange, which I thought was really pretty. And a little bit of red there at the top too. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see we've got a predominantly dark red, burgundy kind of color, very characteristic of the area. We've got a little bit of yellow tan showing through there, and a little bit of black maybe showing on this side, as well as some pink and a little bit lighter white. And then this side is where it gets a little more interesting. It's been fractured more recently. We can see there's some black there. I wasn't sure how it would translate on the inside, but that is really cool. Okay, so we've got a range of different patterns going on here, from a chaotic wonderstone in the middle around a partial eye there with the dark red and the pink banding, to yellow and orange banding as we move towards the center of the rock. And then it gets into a dark black material. And then on the far side of the rock, it gets into a classic Lahontan Jasper pattern with a white background and the dark red veins. Really interesting. Let's take a look at this individual half. You can see some of the banding there a little better around that eye towards the center. This is definitely a cool one. I'm not sure I've seen one that has this combination of patterns in it. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, we've got a lot of different shades of brown, from quite dark to almost white or tan. And then there's a little bit of white material on the rock. Also, some of the brown, it's possible, might be oxidation slightly, especially here towards the top center of the rock. But it looked like there might be some interesting pattern also. So this is one that I actually cut in 2 different spots, as you can see. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inside. And there's actually quite a bit of pattern going on here, more than was apparent from the outside. There's some wonderstone type banding at the bottom of the rock. And let's take a look at this cut. We can see that same banding now towards the center, and a nice eye towards the exterior of the cut. So this is another interesting mix of material, and a nice eye actually in the center of the cut on the left-hand side. These ones look really almost like a landscape jasper, rhyolite colors. So there's grays and browns and yellows. Those veins that are normally a deeper red are a brown color. Very interesting. A little more subtle, but still very pretty, I think. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see that we've got a bunch of different rocks or pieces making this up. So it looks like we're dealing with some breccia here. We've got deep red color. We've got a little bit of white material stuck onto it, but mostly varies between the deep red and the white. Let's take a look at the inside, and that is much cooler than it looked on the outside. So the color contrast is very striking between the dark reds and the whites. And we are indeed looking at a very fractured stone here. Really cool. There's even some subtle banding going on, it looks like. And on the left-hand side of the rock there, the red is penetrating into the white in veins, it looks like. And then in some of the places, it looks like it's almost just overtaken the white. And in a few spots, there's banding, it looks like, with the red over the white also. Really interesting. Zoom in a little here. Yeah, you can see that there's actually a bit of pattern in the red over the white. Very nice. Okay, let's check out this rock. So you can see on that backside there we were just looking at, there's a dark brown desert patina. Here it looks like it may have been fractured more recently, and there's some white and black and brown. This looks like it's maybe oxidized there, and here into the desert patina. But it looked interesting on the outside, and I was not sure what it would look like on the inside. Wow. Okay, that's kind of wild, actually. So no indications of what I saw on the outside, really. I thought there might be some banding or almost some striping in there. Instead, there's a very dark eye. It looks brownish black. I think it's very saturated red. And then it expands out in kind of an orange border. And then beyond that, it goes into an almost white material. And then you can see there's some little bands of white going on in the rock also, looking kind of like dashed lines and then a solid one. Really unique. Not sure what's going on in here exactly, but very cool. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments and which ones were your favorites. If you made it this far, please give the video a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.